old knuckleheads with me. Beep, bop, boop, ba-doop, boop. Ha!
And for any of you who thought that I might have a mental issue or that I was a little bit strange or you think it's an act, it's not. And I have proof of that. So,
What wasn't that?
like I'm crazy or I think weird things or things come strangely out of my mouth and I have no filter.
You are fucked up.
My father-in-law decided as a stocking stuffer, because this is after Christmas, to get me a game called Cards Against Humanity.
Now watch all these motherfuckers rush out and get it.
Well, if they do, and the folks from Cards of Humanity are watching this, we'll be more than happy to endorse your product. Because let's face it, Kevin and I, we really don't endorse much of anything.
No,
but this is
except
just
sex.
But not same sex. Not least with us. If you,
yeah, not with us.
Yeah,
I mean, we don't care who else.
So the way this works is somebody reads the question. And then you have answer cards in your hand, and you have to come up with one of. For me, it's the most uncomfortable thing for that person to read. So here's how we're going to do it. We got 3 questions. We're going to do it throughout the show.
And then we'll talk sports.
Yeah, we're going to talk sports, but we're going to break the questions up throughout the show because I know some of you aren't going to watch the whole show. But for some of you, we want you guys to judge which one of us came up with the better answer. So, first question: what never fails to liven up a party?
I got 3.
What never fails to liven up a party?
I got 1.
Child beauty pageants.
The hardworking Mexican.
So we'll be back with another question. In the meantime, I think we're going to talk a little NBA, NFL.
Yeah. NFL, we're going to start with NFL. We're going to start with the playoffs because we didn't really...
Playoffs?
We didn't really cover the games that happened because we were like,
holidays and things and weather.
Too much shit going on. Santa,
life.
you know.
Santa's black, by the way. Did you know that? And he got shot in Southeast.
No one's shot Santa in Anacostia. For real?
For you local folks, go to Channel 7's website. They got a picture of a black Santa Claus walking down the street. He's going, ho, ho, ho. And then from a second-story window, somebody gets a pellet gun and shoots him. And he goes, oh, I've been shot. Oh, good Lord, have mercy. Yeah, I'm not kidding.
That's fucked up, man.
It's hilarious.
Black Santa, black Jesus. I mean, you know.
Shot by another black man. Black on black.
You have to be black if you live in Anacostia. There's not too many white folks living in Anacostia.
Nay.
Anyway, the first thing we're going to talk about are the teams that are already in the fucking playoffs, everybody. And let's start with the AFC side. We know that Denver, the Broncos are in. They've won the AFC West. They've also clinched the first round bye. Okay.
All the divisions have been clinched across the board.
In the
AFC. So you got New England in the East?
No, that's not really actually true.
According to ESPN, all the divisions have been clinched.
No, there's one division that hasn't been.
Okay, which division would that be?
Okay, you keep talking.
For the AFC, according to this,
no, you're right.
Denver's clinched, Indianapolis is clinched the South. Cincinnati has the North. New England has the East.
Right. There's only one playoff spot left in the AFC. That's what it is.
Right, because Kansas City has clinched the first wild card.
So, with that being said, George was right. Everybody in the AFC has won their division, and you named the teams, right?
Yes. That's my RVD shit right there. There's like 4 people who watch that show that don't understand that.
Now, the teams that can get in from the AFC for the final spot are basically 4 teams. It's the Dolphins, the Ravens, the Chargers, and the Steelers. But the Steelers have to have Jesus, the Pope, and somebody else who hasn't been around. Albert Einstein have a fucking house party.
They got a better shot at getting in than the Detroit Lions. Just saying.
That was a low odds, you Ramon.
That wasn't low at all.
Miami Dolphins need a win, and they need a Baltimore loss or tie to clinch the playoffs. Or they need a Miami win and a San Diego win. Or they can get in with a win, a Baltimore loss, and a San Diego loss. Or they can get in with a win, a Baltimore tie, and a San Diego tie. Shit's crazy.
Yeah, there's just too many options. But you know what? This is what they've all come down to. I mean, this is another reason. I don't know if anyone's paid attention. But before, you would play your division games early on, you get those out of the way, and then the back end of the season didn't really matter a lot.
Right.
So now the NFL caught wise to the Peyton Manning rule and the Tony Dungy, let's sit our players for the last 3 or 4 games, because the NFL doesn't want that. NFL wants a steady product from week 1 to week 17.
Yeah.
So what they did now is they've moved some of those division games back to the end of the season to make sure they count.
Yeah.
And it's smart. I mean, I totally understand it.
Everybody, I think, pretty much in the NFL, excluding the Kansas City Chiefs, because they're locked in at their playoff spot. It doesn't matter. So and we'll get to that. But everybody else is playing for a reason. Even the teams that are in there, because they haven't clinched home field advantage throughout. So it's going to be interesting.
Now, what's going to be interesting is since Baltimore has to go to Cincinnati and win.
Right.
Is Cincinnati going to try to stick at the Baltimore and be like, we don't want you in and play as starters? To me, I'm only playing my starters a half. I already have the division locked up.
Yeah, I would think so, because what is Cincinnati is playing for, I mean, what's the second best record in the AFC would be the Patriots. And if the Patriots lose and the Bengals win, could that put them ahead of the Patriots?
Well, the Patriots are 11-4. Cincinnati's 10-5. New England's playing. Buffalo's going to New England. New England's going to hammer Buffalo.
So, I mean, that could possibly give them, it could be, they've clinched that. They haven't clinched a first round bye yet. There's no first round bye that's been clinched. So, Cincinnati has to go in, play hard, hope to win, and hope New England loses.
So what this says to all you fantasy football fans is you should be so happy that the NFL has done this, because that means Peyton Manning has to go out and play a full game. Tom Brady has to go out and play a full game. Andy Dalton has to go out and play a full game.
Yep.
So those three quarterbacks who are going to put up points for your fantasy teams aren't going to get the sit.
Yeah. And this is the funny thing. So you look at the Broncos. They have clinched the first round bye. However, they're in a fucked up predicament because they lost head to head to New England. So if New England won this weekend and they lost, they'd have the same record. And even though they both would have clinched the first round bye, New England would have the home field advantage throughout.
And who's Denver playing?
Huh?
Who's Denver playing?
The Raiders.
In Oakland.
Yeah.
Dude, the NFL passing record might be 55, 56 touchdowns when this is all over. Because right now it's sitting at 51.
And all he needs, remember we talked about this 3 weeks ago? I'm like, George's like, I don't know if he's going to do it. I'm like, he broke the touchdown right now, 266 yards to break the pass.
What I tell you, it was contingent on. It was contingent on what happened and where they were at. And you know what? He has to play, and they need to win, and they need to put. I mean, they don't need. And
they have all rookies in their secondary, don't they?
And here's the amazing thing: New England and Denver play at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel bad for Oakland this week.
Yeah, because they might get fucking 500 yards later.
Demaryius Thomas and Decker are nasty.
Only winners get wings.
What?
Come on, man. You don't know. All right, somebody help George out with that. Believe me, all our fans today, somebody's going to have it. Look, only winners get wings.
Okay.
Demaryius Thomas, man. You don't know what that is from?
No.
Okay, moving on, guys. So that's what's going on in the AFC.
AFC's nuts. Now, if you think the AFC's messed up, you just try to wrap your head around this.
The only teams that are in the playoffs right now in the NFC are the Seahawks, the Panthers, and the 49ers. Everybody, and every one of these teams has to play because they're playing for either a first round bye, home field advantage throughout, and seeding. So it's a fucking hot fucking mess. Now, the scenarios are this. The Eagles
gotta win to get in.
Or tie. If they tie the Cowboys when they play them this weekend, they will fucking win.
Now, Tony Romo they haven't made a decision, but let's face it. If you have a herniated disc, you got an epidural shot, that's awesome. Seriously, dude, consider your livelihood as a human being.
Yep.
You could seriously, risk your quality of life after football.
Yep.
You have the contract, you're getting paid, and I understand people want to bash and hate on Tony Romo. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you right now, there's maybe 5 teams that wouldn't take Tony Romo as their starting quarterback.
You know what freaks me out?
The Redskins would take Tony Romo as their starting quarterback right now. I'm saying just right now.
Mm-hmm.
They would take Tony Romo.
Yeah.
And the Giants would. The Eagles, if they didn't have a quarterback, if Foles didn't play the way they did, they'd take Tony Romo. I mean, Denver, New England, and the Saints.
The Dallas might be lucky. Okay? Because you know how, like, when we're talking MMA, we talk about Uriah Faber. He always fucks up when he plays. Tony Romo can ball until a game's
to the belt's on the line.
Now, I don't know if I'm Philadelphia, if I want to fucking face fucking, Kyle Orton. Cowboy Orton.
He's done it before. I mean, anytime a team's willing to guarantee $5 million in a signing bonus and lock up a backup for $10.5 million with a guaranteed $5 million, that's a lot of bread, dude.
He can play, man. I mean, he's been a starter
and he's got great hair.
And he's got great hair. Yeah, George, you know what? I got to give you that. Okay, next question. We're going to put a hole in this playoffs.
You don't want to do it in between? I think we do it in between. And then at the end of the show.
I'm jumping
to try to keep them
going. Now, the next team is the Cowboys. If the Cowboys win, they're in. That's right. If they tie, they're not in. If they lose, they're not in. Okay, so they're going head to head against all the Eagles. Now, the second team, Chicago Bears. They have the same scenario as the Eagles. If they win or tie against the Packers, they are in. The Packers have the same scenario as the Cowboys. If they lose to or tie against the Bears, they are out. So they have to fucking beat the Bears to be in.
And don't worry, Aaron Rodgers is starting.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. And Eddie Lacy has been running like a man, and right now the Bears struggled stopping the run against Shady. And Shady's not a power between the tackles back.
Yep.
Eddie Lacy is going to lace them for about 250 and 4 touchdowns.
Eddie Lacy is a great pick. He might get Rookie of the Year. You know? Now, New Orleans, the Saints.
Wait, Detroit? Oh, no.
The Saints are in if they win. Now, if they tie, they need Arizona also to tie. Or they need Arizona to lose. If they lose, then they need Arizona to lose.
And San Francisco is going to Arizona. And San Fran can't afford a loss.
No, San Fran can't afford. That's going to be one of the best games.
And I'm going to tell you right now,
I don't want to face Arizona. Arizona's a hot team right now.
I think San Francisco is the most beatable team with more than 10 wins.
I think the two most dangerous teams right now, just peaking at the right time, are Arizona and the Eagles.
I'm not going to argue.
And Seattle is obviously in there because they've been good all year.
Right.
But I'm saying right now, teams that are... Okay, now speaking of peaking teams, Arizona Cardinals, they are in with a win and a New Orleans loss or tie.
Well, New Orleans isn't going to lose. They're playing at home and they're playing against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
So Arizona's done.
So Arizona's they're pretty much out of it. Now, they're also in if they tie and New Orleans loses. So they need to win or tie, and they got to hope that they need some help from New Orleans. That wraps up the playoff scenario. Now, with that being said, how do you think these games are going to fucking turn out?
Eagles are going to win.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Green Bay is going to beat Chicago. They're going to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Arizona's going to win, but it doesn't matter.
Hey, guys, as we're filming this, they just announced that Aaron Rodgers will be starting for Green Bay on Sunday.
And if you rewind 47 seconds ago, I said that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, don't worry about it. No worries. Who cares? We sit next to each other and don't listen to each other.
Yeah, I know. It was fun. What's the next one?
I think Carolina's going to be a 2 seed when this is all said and done.
Who do you think's the most, seriously, who do you think's the most dangerous? Who can you see in the NFC Championship right now?
Seattle and Carolina. Well, if they're 1-2, I could easily see them, but I'm going to tell you, I'm not being biased. I'm truly not, because if you've watched the show, you understand. Right now, whoever travels to Philly is going to have a tough time in that first playoff game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Philadelphia's going to win, but they're not going to get out of there easy.
Yeah.
And if Philadelphia wins that game, I don't think anyone goes, yeah, I'll play Philly first.
Yeah. I mean, Philadelphia is sitting in a pretty good position because they would probably have either New Orleans, who plays terrible outside, more than likely. Especially if they win. If New Orleans wins, they're in. They're going to be a wild card.
Their points per game are 18 away from home. Yeah. If they play away from home, they're only scoring 18 points a game.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Now, the one thing that could give Philadelphia problems is if they have to face maybe either
Carolina.
Carolina
doesn't wrap up a 2 seed, and they have to go to Philly. I don't.
Or it could be Carolina. It could be the 49ers. It could be
Arizona,
it could even be Seattle.
Yeah, it could be. Well, yeah. And put it this way: there's no easy game for Philly, but I don't think any of these teams want to come to Philadelphia either.
I'm going to tell you what: if it's one of those teams and they come to Philly and Philly beats them, Philly has a good chance of going to the Super Bowl. I don't want to jinx them for you.
No, well, here's the.
I'm just saying.
First thing first, they got to get by Dallas and Dallas.
Things first.
They do. They have to get by Dallas and Dallas.
Yeah.
Any team playing at home with this much on the line, and here's the thing: if I'm Garrett, I don't care what I'm saying to the reporters. Kyle Orton's my starter. We've been playing with him as first string. I'm not putting Tony Romo in. He can't get out of the pocket now.
I'm going to tell you what. I just cannot. And people could say because of risk. I'm not. Obviously, I'm a Redskins fan, so I've never liked the fucking Cowboys. But the Cowboys right now, if they were to make the playoffs, to me, they are the absolute worst team by far in the playoffs. They have the last ranked, their defense, they give up 50 a fucking game. They're like, motherfuckers are dropping basketball numbers on them bitches. Okay? They're fucking posting up and fucking going to the lane on them bitches. They are terrible. Their defense is terrible. So it's like, I'd much rather see Philadelphia in there because I think it'll call for more exciting games. I would see Dallas going in and getting fucking just housed the first round.